The Two Count, where comedy meets wrestling. Please comment, share, and like, and if you're watching the live stream, join us with your comments and questions. And now here are the hosts of The Two Count, comedian John Russell, and wrestling broadcaster Big Ace.
And here we are, everybody. Good Tuesday evening to all of you. Thank you for looking in on us this evening. We got a great show lined up for you tonight. We're going to hit some headlines. We're going to try a little new format, try to keep ourselves reined in a little bit more. Because it's easy to talk about what you love and keep talking and keep talking. But what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about a little bit of headlines. We're going to do our countdown, which this week is the top wrestling announcers of all times. And I think because of the fact that Ace and I are of different ages, that those lists are going to be a little bit contradictory. Although I've seen his, and I know he has not seen mine, but it doesn't make any difference because that's going to be good. And then we'll talk.
It's a good list. It's a good list that we picked this.
It's hard to not have a good list because there are really quite a few really good wrestling announcers. We're going to do a little bit of a Clash of the Champions prediction at the end, and we'll do a little bit of a recap of some headlines. So that's what our format's going to look like tonight. If you're watching this evening, we certainly appreciate it. We ask you to say hello, no matter where you're watching or we're broadcasting tonight on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter /Periscope, and a couple channels on Twitch. So we appreciate y'all being with us, and we will get to getting, as they say. So Ace. Interesting highlights. One of the things that you mentioned today, just as we were getting off, that I didn't hear about, was that NXT has now been stricken again with some COVID-19 infections.
Yeah, man, it's interesting because we were talking about this before we went on. And things have been kind of quiet, I feel like. A couple of weeks ago, people were kind of chirping up about the whole COVID thing and the shows and the wrestling. But that was mainly because AEW started letting fans actually in Daily's place for Dynamite. So there was concern over that, but it seems to be that they're doing a pretty good job talent-wise and fan-wise. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff with WWE a long time ago, which is weird saying.
Yeah,
like a long time ago. But I mean, it's been, weeks and months since they've had anything really serious go on over there COVID wise. But yeah, now NXT, the Performance Center specifically, is who got hit. So main roster talent, I guess, is safe from what they're saying. But it sounds like a coach brought it in, and it sounds like people were getting a little bit laxed with their mask wearing in areas people were congregating. And there was some concern over it. It sounds like a coach may have brought it in, and it started to spread. Says that it had a decent effect on their show on NXT. So we were talking about it. I didn't see the last one, but I know the Shotzi Blackheart and Io Shirai had their match. Kind of feel like something was planned for Io Shirai. Maybe not, but maybe that explains like a battle royal, or just if you noticed any of your NXT people who you're like, where did they go? They haven't been on for a few weeks. Maybe this is why. It makes you really wonder, though, because this is it's a crazy topic right now, because obviously the big news nationally in sports was, what was it, like about $1 million or just over $1 million in fines came out to coaches and teams in the NFL for not wearing masks on the sidelines, which is crazy because, again, there's a lot of people on the sidelines. We've all been to football games. There's a lot of people, a lot of coaches, but usually when you're watching the head coach, there's not a lot of people right in front of his face because they got the headset on. They don't need it to communicate usually, where in the Performance Center they're wrapping up, they're locking up, they're throwing each other around. There's a bit more, and they're not wearing masks in the rings is what I heard. Like that's one area they don't have to wear them because they're working, so they don't. But if they're outside the ring, they have to have it on, I guess.
Yeah.
But in ring, they don't have to have it on. So if it's starting to spread, people have it. They're getting in there running drills without their masks on. And I mean, I don't know how many people are training at the Performance Center at any given one time, but I mean, I'm guessing it's a good number.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. We'll see how they handle it. Like we were talking before, like Vince hasn't taken COVID too seriously as far as his way of keeping the talent safe and everything like that. And we've always joked about how it was like a personal attack to him, this whole COVID thing. So, with the NFL doing what they did, though, Vince is a guy where he might follow suit because, he wishes he was the NFL. So, like, I'm interested to see if anything's going to come out of this or if we're going to hear anything about them kind of really tightening down on their policies and their testing, stuff like that. I think the Thunderdome was only signed through, was it to the beginning of October or the end of October?
I can't, it's one or the other. They don't have a whole lot of time left there. I know that.
So that's going to be another interesting thing. What are they going to do? Where are they going to go? And are we going to finally see them allowing fans in it at some capacity? So I was surprised to see it. Looked like more NFL teams were doing it week 2. Am I right?
I believe there were.
Week 1 was only 2. It was Jacksonville and Kansas City, but I could have swore I watched a couple games this last week that weren't those cities, and they had people.
That might be. I think there were a couple more added. I know some of them were not. I know they made fun of Chicago because on the scoreboard the operator had make noise. Who's going to make noise? There's nobody here. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, it's interesting. I think and I think the more these things kind of get back to normal, the more it's going to be more difficult to think about putting a mask on and doing all that kind of stuff. I think it becomes easier to kind of forget about it. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, we're definitely in a time where people are tired of this. And
oh gosh, yeah,
we're seeing those effects now.
I'm curious too. I don't know this. I don't know if there's anything about it. But the fans that they allow at AEW, I wonder what the testing protocol is for them to get in.
I believe it's temp. I think they
just
do
temperature,
and then temperature.
Because I know that the wrestlers, and you see them all the time with the two bands.
They're getting tested.
They're getting tested every time they go in there. So
I could be wrong. If anybody's watching, who knows, or if anybody's watching from that area and has gone, let us know. I could be wrong, but I feel like they do temperature and symptom check them, and I think it's supposed to be masks on at all times, unless they're in the concourse having a drink or something.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I've gone to a independent wrestling show that was in a parking lot, and it was fine. I wore my mask. Everything was fine. We're going to another one weeks from now.
Yeah.
And it's going to be inside, and it's going to be social distance, and it's going to be mask wearing and all that. And I anticipate it being fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm interested to see what keeps going on as far as what they do with these bigger shows. I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't think about going. If I was in Jacksonville right now, if I lived in Jacksonville right now, and I'm the fan I am, how would you not buy that season?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
Like $150 for like what, a month straight of Dynamites? Like, why would you not buy that? I would pay that to be, first 3 rows at an actual show. And I only say that much because they're not WWE and charging almost $1,000 or $3,000, whatever it is now, to sit front row.
Yeah.
Unless it's a house show and you get really lucky because they give out the wrong pre-sale code. But you guessed the right one. But yeah, man, it'll be. I would go if they came here and ran in the arena and it was at 15% and I can get a ticket, I would go. I was talking to a friend of mine. I'm a big Cowboys fan as far as football goes. They were supposed to be up here in Minnesota to play the Vikings in like October, November, I think. And plans was I was going to go. And now, we don't know what's going to happen right now. They're not letting fans in. But if it were to change before that game, I was talking with a friend, like, I don't know, would you go? Would you want to go? And he was like, I think I would. And I'm like, you know what? I think I would too.
Yeah.
Like, because I can't sit at home anymore either. So
absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we had. I don't want to be negative, but I would say last night's Raw was one of the worst.
It left to be desired, that's for sure.
And there were some good things.
Yeah, it wasn't all bad, but it wasn't great.
The worst part of it is whatever the hell they're doing with this group of
Retribution.
I
still think it's hilarious when they crash the ring that Michael Cole still runs and jumps out like he's just a little. Oh my God, it's Retribution! He just goes running. It's hilarious.
It's all right. So we know who everybody is.
So, well, first of all,
there are 5 main characters now, and then a
guys.
bunch of droogies.
Right, 3 guys, 2 ladies. Which before we get into who they are, the masks,
Terrible.
it was bad, guys. It was bad. Like, one literally was, I think, a Bane mask. Like, I think it was like probably made for the Batman movie. The other one was literally just a Jason mask, basically. They added some stuff to it. Dio Madden, I don't even know. Like, why would you run an angle with a guy where you don't want people to know who he is, yet he's the kind of guy that you could pick him out of any crowd?
I think that's part of the reason, is I think when you think about it, maybe one of the reasons that they're doing it this way is because there's something to be said for that inside information. So if everybody thinks I know something everybody else doesn't know, because let's face it, again, they're writing this stuff for 12, 13-year-old kids. They're not writing it for us. And I always go back and say that. But so now the 12 or 13-year-old kid figures it out, and now they think they're geniuses. They're like, I know who that is. Good for you.
Yay.
But yeah. So 5 of them are now the faces of the thing, and they've all got contracts, which I don't even understand.
Only the 5 do. The other 20 don't. So why are they still allowed in?
Yeah.
But that's right. We cannot have logic when we talk wrestling storylines. We got to remember.
Well, you know what? We used to be able to.
That was a long time ago, though. That was when it was real.
Back in the days, baby. Back in the days. Anyway.
I was wondering they were gonna sacrifice Stephanie.
Well, dude, I believed it.
No, it was, but that's just it though. It was entertaining.
See that there's a difference between being able to suspend your disbelief.
That's what it is. They did, the attitude that they I don't remember who said it, but they always say that in the attitude it wasn't, we got to be number one. It was always, we got to do better than what we just did this last week.
Yeah.
We got to top ourselves and we got to be better than everybody else, which is why you had multiple talents shooting just bombs every Raw and SmackDown then. Where now, again, it ain't like that because talent is literally walking in being like, what am I doing? Okay. And then probably 2 hours later, oh, it's changed. Oh, it changed. Oh, now okay.
Yeah.
And that's the rumor is that Raw is kind of a mess right now behind the scenes. Like it's just chaos. So, it is what it is. Yeah, you're right. It's not for us anymore.
So that was bad. The Raw Underground, which we both hate anyway, was a gigantic waste of a large, talented man, Dabba-Kato, who, first of all, is basically emasculated by KO out in his show where he does not respond at all. I don't even understand that. So I just couldn't get it. He either is not angry enough that he's hit without provocation, or he's such a gigantic pussy that he does whatever Shane tells him. And either way, he loses.
You know what I really thought it was though? I think they were late on the Braun Strowman cue.
Probably.
I think that was supposed to hit a lot quicker, so there wasn't as much awkward time between those two.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I think, yeah. So I don't know.
And then you go back into the back of the thing, and he and Braun actually put on a nice little brawl for what it is, even though I don't like the whole idea. But then
it could have been a perfectly good match
in the ring.
But
for some reason, somebody thinks that it shouldn't be in the ring. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't see why it has to be. Oh, no. Shane says, oh, no. Wait, we're keeping that for the back. Why?
I don't know. I'm hoping this has about 3 more weeks left, and then it's just.
I'm afraid it's going to keep going. So anyway, there's that. The good news was I was surprised. I kind of expected to see Randy Orton.
It's the go home show. We knew he was going to be back.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to end up being a triple threat at Clash of Champions. I thought they just had Keith Lee in, and maybe they still do. Who knows? But there was no question Randy Orton wasn't going to be in that one. And it was a nice way for him to come back. Just destroyed McIntyre, and then on top of that, took the wins out of like the Retribution stuff because you ended Raw on that image of Orton,
right,
taking McIntyre out. So it's like, all right, I'm in.
And we'll talk about it when we get to our predictions for Clash of Champions.
Yeah.
But there's more to that story.
Yeah.
Any other WWE headlines you can think of over the week?
Well, we didn't actually talk the reveal though of Retribution. We kind of skipped.
Oh, over. That's right.
T-Bar, Mace, and Slapjack were in the main event though, and that was where which is really Dia Madden. Who are the other two? Dominik Jakovic, and then
and the other guy.
I can't remember his name. And then your 2 ladies in there, obviously Mia Yim, easy one to pick out,
and Mercedes Martinez.
Which that's cool. I like those 2 together.
I like Mercedes Martinez when they had her over for the one-offs.
Yeah, right.
With AEW, and I mean, even back then, I was wishing, oh man, don't let her go, and they did. But I think at that point in time, they had enough women talent to be able to pull it off, and now they're scrambling. So, but that's a whole nother story.
They just gotta come up with new names for these guys, though. The T-Bar, Mason, Slapjack.
How about Popsicle, Bottle Cap, and Rebar?
It's already kind of a really cartoony thing they're doing with the mask and the taking over everything, and then you just made it worse by giving them these names.
Dude, you know what they remind me of? They remind me of the band Slipknot.
Yeah, like someone doing a knockoff Slipknot in their garage with their own.
Yeah. It's like, hey, look, I got an old catcher's mask.
Right, let me just put it right here.
We'll paint it silver, and then I'll be the baddest one of the bunch.
What if I just cut a hole in this bag for my mouth and my eyes, and I could wear that in my matches? Yeah, it'll work. It's crazy, man. Again, I'm still liking, though, just one more thing for WWE, the Alexa Bliss and doing the. Everybody love it. So, man, let's get into our list, though.
All right. So, what we're going to let you know is that we've got a fantastic list for you this week. We're going to go through what we deem our favorite and the top wrestling announcers of all time, and we're going to start it up right after this. All right, gang. So what we're going to do is we've got, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of top wrestling announcers, and we've narrowed it down. We're trying to make a list of 3. We've got some honorable mentions. There's some guys that we're not going to mention, and if we don't mention your favorite or somebody that you think should be mentioned, please pop it up in the comments, and we certainly will entertain that fact. But we've got a list of honorable mentions. Well, yeah, if it's somebody that posts up something stupid, we're going to do it. But and I have more honorable mentions than you do. You only put down 1, but I put down because I'm in charge. I put down a lot of them. My first honorable mention is Mr. Joey Styles. And the reason I have Mr. Joey Styles as honorable mention, this was the single voice on ECW in its heyday. He was a one-man act that hadn't happened in a long time. And as a broadcaster, you know how difficult that is for somebody to announce and do commentary and everything that needs to be done as a one-man act. So I give an honorable mention to Mr. Joey Styles.
Oh my God.
Also on our honorable mention list, you may not remember this, but prior to being Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon was the lead announcer through the late 70s into the 80s for the WWF.
He had the best laugh.
Well, but even before that, he was a straight. You had no idea he was involved with the family business. While his father was still running it, he was the announcer. That's how he learned the business, and that's how he learned to get guys over. But he was actually a perfect straight man for many of his foils, including Jesse Ventura, among others.
Yeah, you watch those early 80s and 90s pay-per-views, man, when he's still going. Like,
yeah,
it's good stuff.
Yeah. The next person on our honorable mention list, he's got to be on the list. We're going to put him up there. Jerry the King Lawler, one of the most part of one of the most memorable broadcast teams in history. He was there for the Attitude Era with Jim Ross, and is still there on occasion today. When they need them, they make that call, and the King shows up.
Yeah, he was on Raw this week, actually.
He was, and he's still got tremendous chops, although he can be annoying at times.
The Joker is dated at this point, though.
Yeah, absolutely. But we have to put him on as an honorable mention. And another honorable mention that has to be there, just has to be there, ladies and gentlemen, Jesse Ventura, who was not only a fantastic color man with Gorilla Monsoon with the WWF, he was also over on WCW for a number of years. And then he decided to get out of the wrestling business and become a politician for 3 years. He was actually the governor for 4, but he pretty much gave up after 3. But
he was in the hiding.
Absolutely love Governor Jesse Ventura. So
that's why you put him on.
That's the only reason I put him on there, Ace, so I can talk like him to the people. Anyway,
Gorilla.
Jesse Ventura, very, very fantastic. And really, I would say one of the better color people. And of course, last but not least, no longer a wrestling broadcaster, but we've got to put Renee Young up there as not only an honorable mention, but truly a trailblazer for women in announcing.
Yeah, I mean, so this was my honorable mention that I picked. I don't know if she was actually on yours at all. But like for me, it was a first woman on the stage that she was on. I'm sure independent organizations and some just, mid larger, companies may have some women doing some of their stuff before her even. But like she was the first one to ever take hold in Raw, which is a huge deal because that's something no one ever thought they'd really see in WWE. And if you go back to when she did some stuff with NXT, I think she was doing like main event and stuff before the shows years ago when she first came in. She was doing really good. You can tell that maybe things weren't. It was a rough run, I think, for her on Raw. But either way, though, like it didn't take away from her talent. And I mean, first woman never do it on the grandest stage of all. So
yep. And yeah, absolutely, you're correct. She was not the first woman broadcaster, but the first one of such prominence. I know Veda Scott was on ROH prior to Renee Young, but point being that Renee Young was the first one at WrestleMania. Renee Young was the first woman to do coast to coast on Raw. So that is definitely in my mind.
And when we say that too, permanently, like she held this
Right.
for a while till she chose to leave it. So
Absolutely. All right. So if you're ready for our top 3 each.
now you said we had the same one, but 3 and 2 were different. Okay.
Yes. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my number 3. And my number 3 is, again, somebody that not a lot of people are going to know about unless you're an old school. But this man started in Mid-South and worked a lot of the major promotions over the course of a year. It's a fella named Lance Russell. There he is right there. He started at Mid-South Coliseum with the likes of Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee. He was involved in WCW, where he did NWA Worldwide Wrestling with Jim Ross. And to be honest, the biggest and most...
Holy crap. Is that Jimmy Hart? I'm sorry.
Jimmy Hart. Yeah. This is so what I wanted to do is, and there it is. There's Jimmy Hart and Andy Kaufman. I was going to say the biggest and most memorable thing for him from me is that he was such a huge part of that Lawler Kaufman deal that they did down there in Memphis. And in fact, if you ever watch the I'm From Hollywood Andy Kaufman documentary, Lance Russell is featured prominently, talks about it. There's a lot of footage. It's fantastic. But having said that, there was nobody like Lance Russell. He was not a one-man gang. He had a partner named Dave Brown, who was with him most of the time. But if anybody remembers those Mid-South and WCW days, boy, Lance Russell was right up there with it. So you're number 3 coming up here, buddy.
Yeah, I don't remember. Was it Gorilla Monsoon, I believe?
Sure was.
I remember where I had my 3 and my 2.
Yep.
I was so bummed that you didn't say Gorilla in Jesse Ventura's voice, by the way. Do it now!
Gorilla. Here.
Let me tell you. I love it. Dude, Gorilla was like, because for me coming in too, I didn't know him as a wrestler. He was already done and out of the ring when I was starting to watch, because this is when I first got, broken into the game. This is who was doing this. This is even, yeah. I mean, the dude's a legend. Like what? The WrestleMania 3 was it the the irresistible force and the immovable object, or
that's right, yeah,
I may have said that wrong, but just the things he would say, and then to have him with he was great with Jesse Ventura when Jesse was with him. The few times they did anything, if Vince was with him, they were great. When JR did some stuff with him, it was great. But I mean, for me, the greatest team will always be him and Bobby Heenan. There was just no better duo calling matches. What you see Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler do, what they were doing is what Gorilla and Bobby Heenan were doing.
Right.
Just not at that. And I don't want to say not at that level, because those two, they did their own thing and they were amazing. But I mean, that will forever be the greatest commentary team ever for me.
So for me, the beauty of that, and the beauty of anybody that Gorilla Monsoon worked with, was he was a perfect straight man.
Yes,
he was always a face commentator, but just a perfect straight man.
But the good thing about him too is this is when it was such a, now baby face and heel. It
doesn't mean anything.
Back then, though, that was real. Then
it was.
So
it was
him to do that, and then Bobby be the heel. And I mean, even when they weren't even calling matches, when they did their show, you can watch it all on the network when they're doing like the Westerns or they're Nail by the Pool. It's just everything that he would do to counterbalance just the craziness and the just outrageousness of Bobby Heenan. It was perfect.
There's the famous line that he always used to tell Heenan was, "Will you stop?
Yep. Will you stop?"
Yeah.
Oh,
right. So Gorilla Monsoon absolutely belongs on the list. The number 2 for me, again, this is old school, but this is the guy. I mean, if you go through and look at stuff, this is the guy that everybody says they learned how to do it from. Folks, there was a guy that was not only did Georgia Championship Wrestling, he did Championship Wrestling from Florida, CCW, and a number of other ones. In fact, there was a time when this man was doing television announcing for 4 different wrestling promotions at the same time. And folks, that's Gordon Solie, who many people will recognize. You'll certainly recognize his voice. It's low. There he is with the Freebirds. He was just fantastic. And he had a way of talking that was very matter-of-fact and grumbly. And if you go back and watch any of his past broadcasts, he had a very odd way of saying some things. Like he would say, people now call it a suplex. He used to always call it a supplay. But he was, you see all these pictures of him with all of these legends. He worked with all of them. He broadcast with all of them. And in fact, there is Paulie Dangerously and Mean Mark Callis. So he was working with them before they were who they were, if that makes sense. And again, if you go back and look at any books or any interviews that wrestling broadcasters have done, they all harken back to Gordon Solie because he was the man back in those days in the 70s and 80s when there was still competition between WCW, Georgia Championship Wrestling, all of those, and the WWF.
Plus, back in those days when it was territory, he was like one of the guys that was connecting them.
Absolutely.
Like you saw back then they would have the NWA champion would go through all the territories. Well, he was one of those ones that was going through and being that guy on their TV weekly programming. I didn't get to actually watch it. That was shortly before when I got into wrestling. But I have seen it. I have watched it. I've watched back. Some great moments. And yeah, man, that guy is a true legend. Man, that's everybody wants to be him if you're in that game.
Absolutely. All right, let's move to your number 2.
My number 2, I think it ties in with my number 3 because, again, they're my top commentary team ever. And this guy's just one of my favorite wrestling personalities, period, and that's Bobby the Brain Heenan. It just doesn't get any better. And I didn't get to hear it yet, guys, but I guess Jim Ross's latest podcast episode, they get... my microphone's falling over. They dive into the career of Bobby Heenan. I got to take a listen to it. It's been a busy week, but the guy he was amazing on the microphone, which we're talking commentary. So, he was that great color guy. He brought the heat. He was, I loved just the stupidest things that would happen that a heel would do. And all of a sudden I knew he was going to do that.
Yeah.
Just the one-liners on time, and then just knowing how to get the crowd to turn on him. The dude could stand up and just wave, and everybody would boo and start chanting "Weasel" at him. You know what I mean? And then to also be able to be just a manager on the level he was, and have the stable he had that he ran, to be involved with so many big names and champions that he was. It's such a weird thing that one of the greatest talkers to ever live in the professional wrestling business couldn't talk at the end of his life.
Yeah.
Such a mind trip on that.
Yeah.
But I got to meet him, which was one of the greatest things in my life.
Oh, wow.
There's a few people that I was like, I need to meet these guys. And for the most part, I haven't met Rock yet or Austin, but I met Taker though. And I got to meet Bobby. Piper's the only guy that I missed. But the sad part is he wasn't able to talk when I met him, and that kind of sucked. It kind of sucked. But regardless of, I got to meet Bobby the Brain Heenan, and he can hear and acknowledge what you're saying. He just couldn't speak. His wife would kind of speak.
Yeah.
But even then, it was like, dude, I'm meeting like the legend.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're supposed to be entertained. The job of what these guys do, in an actual professional sports, they're calling what's happening as it goes, and it is live play-by-play, and it's a very hard thing to do. But what these guys are doing with wrestling is they're also painting a picture and trying to get you to feel ways about what you're seeing to help with the overall storyline of what is being told in that ring. And I mean, these guys were just magic.
Now I'll tell you something else, because I agree with you up to this point. Bobby Heenan was the quickest, funniest person ever in wrestling. Period. Nobody better than him. I couldn't put him on this list, and I'll tell you why. If you go back to Bash at the Beach 1996, when it's the Outsiders and their third man against Sting, Luger, and Macho Man. Bobby the Brain, you go back and watch it. Bobby the Brain Heenan almost fucks it up.
Yeah, I don't blame him on that, though, because he hated life at that point.
I understand it.
You know what I mean? So I don't count that against him. I think WCW with Bobby Heenan, I don't count it because he's been very outspoken about those were like the worst times of his career. Because
I understand, but it's if you're a professional broadcaster, that doesn't give you carte blanche to go and screw the whole thing over.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, obviously,
I like it just because, like,
I mean, I would if
old school, and he was kind of trying to be like, what are you guys doing? This isn't how this is done. Because obviously he saw the writing on the wall. He saw where this was going to go with Bischoff, Hall, how this was going to consume the company like it did, and then eventually shut down WCW. Went from a gimmick to, hey, this whole thing ended up blowing up in your face.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, whatever. But yeah, it is funny though. It is funny.
And that's to this day, out of as much as I loved all of that, I still can't believe that he did it. That's all. I mean, it's just the same thing as like with Tony Schiavone giving away, that Mick Foley won the championship. I'm like, what in the hell are you thinking? I mean, granted, he was told what to do, but from a broadcaster standpoint, it's like, man, don't do that. That's just the stupidest thing. Anyway, having said that, I am so jealous that you get to meet him, because one of my favorites of all time. Yep. Absolutely. And those pictures of him with Gorilla doing that show, doing that recap, my God, so good. So good. That was when I was a young kid, and that was on that was must watch. Mm-hmm. That was must watch.
And that was like my break into the business. These are the things I was seeing as a young boy, 3, 4, 5 years old, to being, realizing like, oh, what is this? That was where it all started. Hulk Hogan and Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon and Macho Man, like all that. That was it.
Absolutely. All right. I'll go ahead and let you introduce number one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because you have this, you threw me off with the order. You have the same number one. I forgot it.
We're even on number one.
Yeah, man. I think overall, this would be anybody who's a wrestling fan would probably lead with this as well. And that's good old Jim Ross, good old JR, which is, you have to vote for him. You guys have the same initials.
Well, yeah, but I mean, ultimately, he's been everywhere and done everything.
Yeah, the guy's been on like what he did almost like every every territory when that was still around. He's been on WCW when it was their heyday. He was on WWF/E in their heyday. The fact that he was such a great broadcaster, his whole career, that it parlayed into he became such a great talent scout as well, and finding stars and stuff. You talk about, I mean, one of the greatest wrestling minds in the world, one of the greatest play-by-play guys. We don't get to see it like we did back then on AEW now, which is fine because I think he's having fun and it is what it is. But man, when it was, Yeah, and that was the other thing. Didn't he did New Japan?
He did New Japan for nearly a year.
Yeah, I think he's even done some light commentary for some of the college football games. I think he's been involved with Oklahoma and some of their college stuff and doing some things.
Yeah.
The guy is a stud, and he's got a voice, man. That voice. And some of the things he said, I mean, one of the Hell in the Cell when Foley got tossed off and just, by God, he's dead. Like,
yeah,
it's still people quote that shit now. You know what I mean?
But that was a beautiful thing, and I think a lot of Jim Ross. What happens is that part of his charm and expertise in doing this is that he says what he sees.
Yes.
As opposed to like fun. So when he's watching it, I mean, when he said, "Oh my God, he's broken in half. Oh my God, he's dead," he probably really thought that he was, like so many of us did, and he captures what we all are feeling, and is able to portray that to everybody in words.
Yeah, that was the beauty of him. Is I don't think they let him. I mean, he didn't know a lot about. None of these guys really know everything that's going to happen. They're not in there going
right
to match with the actual talent. But I mean, his reactions, and you got to give props to somebody too who also has, he was calling during the Montreal screw job, which would have been rough with that whole thing.
Yeah,
tracks. One of the most probably, and without one of his like lowest points in his career that he's had to do on air, obviously has to probably be him having to tell the world Owen Hart died.
Yeah,
live on TV as he found out. Like they say that he says that, I guess, in an interview that it was like literally they're like, Owen died 3. You're on in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah,
and that was it. So I mean, from being able to handle these heavy, real serious situations that happen in what is a very carny world, you know what I mean? And then to also just be stellar again on the mic, to the point that when he'd get involved in the ring, and it was almost like, nah, man, don't do that. Just go back.
Right.
Like now now I don't almost like you, but
yeah.
And he's also like one of the nicest guys. If you ever meet him, like he's really just a great guy.
Seems like it.
Yeah, and his barbecue sauce is delicious.
Anyway, all right, folks, that's our list. We're running down again. My top 3. Number 3 was Lance Russell. Number 2 was Gordon Solie. Number 1, Jim Ross. Ace?
Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan, and then Jim Ross as well for number 1. I gotta say, you had some stellar pictures going on during your slideshow there. Some real classic throwbacks. There's one of Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone that they both looked like babies.
I know. And I picked that one particularly because they look like little kids.
Oh, it's great.
And then I would get the other one, and it had Excalibur in there. So, well, whatever. You can't have everything. But that's a beautiful thing about looking at this. When you look at all of those, folks, if you want to go back and look at them, I encourage you. Every one of these people that we had on our lists worked with everybody.
Yeah.
And that is the cool part about this business, and that's the cool part about being a fan, is that it is all intertwined in one way, shape, or form. So anyway, that's our top 3 announcers of all time. Next week, we'll have another list for you, and we encourage you to watch. We'll be back with more right after this. Yeah, so that was a good list, I felt like.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. That was a good one. It's a lot of people, too, because, I didn't even think of, like, Joey Styles. I didn't even think of him. I like Larry Zbyszko was always someone I was a huge fan of on the mic in WCW.
Zbyszko,
Bischoff,
Mean Gene, dude, they're literally, because Mean Gene used to do them at the AWA.
Yeah.
All the AWA guys that we didn't even mention: Larry Nelson,
Lee Marshall.
Lee Marshall,
Yep, Lee Marshall.
Rod Trongard. The guy I can't the guy that was down at WCCW, the Von Erichs territory, he was very well. I mean, I recognize him. I can't think of his name right now, but it's like he was that guy.
Yeah.
And
And you could even argue Mauro Ranella.
Absolutely, he should definitely be on the honorable mention list. But I didn't because there's just so many of them. I didn't want to have a 9-mile list. I mean, literally, if we had enough time, we could go through the entire list of everybody who was ever a broadcaster.
No, that would be like a 6 though.
Well, like I said, if we had enough time, I mean, it's just impossible. I mean, Mike Tenay was good.
Yeah.
So anyway. And plus, there were some that were not so good. But anyway,
I mean, even like JBL.
Yeah, he was reasonable.
Taz.
Taz almost. I would almost put Taz on the honorable mention too.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's a lot. We'll have to figure out.
Macho Man. Do you know that Macho?
I remember Macho Man doing it. Yeah, I just I don't remember him doing it enough that I was like keen to like being like he was a good.
So there was a time when Macho and Vince.
Yeah, they kicked Raw off, right?
Yep. And then
the whole angle is that Bobby Heenan got fired.
Well, no, but Bobby Heenan came on with them at one point.
Yeah.
So it was the three of them, and I mean, it was just beautiful chaos.
Yeah.
But God, man, there's just so many good people. I think about when I do the little kids wrestling tournament. There was a guy that was the announcer for Central States out of Kansas City. His name was Bill Kirsten. And he used to always open up the show with "Hello, wrestling fans." Mm-hmm. And so now I kind of switch that up a little bit. Now when I do the thing down with the little kids, it's all "Let's get ready to wrestle." I mean, I do it a little bit more, enthusiastically, but.
You ever forget that you're saying wrestling? Next thing you're like, let's get ready to wrestle. Yeah.
No, I never do. I only say that at the strip club.
I would hope that would be the greatest.
Get ready to wrestle, yo.
Did you guys see this video of this amateur kid wrestling announcer at this big tournament? Watch, it's just you be like, let's get ready to wrestle, bitches. Yeah.
I can't do it. I get paid for that.
I know. Yes.
Anyway, so that was fun, and we'll look forward to it. And we'll figure out what our list will be next week, and hopefully you'll join us. I do wanted to pop here and say hey to Chris.
What's up, Chris? How's it going, brother?
Good to see you. I didn't pop you up while we were doing our thing because maybe we can repurpose that one for once. We stayed on track and we didn't go off the rails. But anyway, so all right, that's our list. Do we have any AEW headlines we're going to talk about?
I think the only thing that was really interesting to hear about, well, hey, first of all, that street fight was dope.
Yeah. That was probably when it comes to that kind of stuff, that was probably the best I've ever seen anybody ever do.
That thing brought me back to straight Eddie Guerrero, John Cena. Remember that one?
Oh God.
Like it was good, man. And that what was that? Like package pile driver he did on the truck bed on that flat piece of wood.
It was a kind of backwards pile driver kind of.
He got the pin off that. Like I thought he killed him, dude.
I know.
Like, how do you not land on his head?
How about the senton while he's under the hood?
Yeah, dude. Oh, it was such a great match. Like best friends, proud and powerful Santana Ortiz, man. Those boys killed that.
I'll say the only thing that kind of disappointed me a little bit was Orange popping out from the trunk. I mean, they could have done it without him doing that.
They could have, but I mean, it's just it's a fan favorite. You got to do it. Plus, I think it plays into the best friend gimmick, though. You know what I mean? Because they're best friends, bro.
I get it.
I think Sue missed her cue on the flip off, so that seemed a little janky at the end, but still enjoyable to see her flip them off. It's so funny seeing the AEW talent tweet about how she like brought him cookies like a week ago, and like, oh, Sue's cookies are the best, and then like MJF's like, yeah, they're okay.
Did you happen to see the BTE this week?
I actually, I did watch it.
When she brought stuff for the Dark Order.
Yeah. I don't know who the guy's name is, where he's like, yeah, he doesn't like your food, Sue. And then she messes up throwing the paper. That brings me up to something I was going to ask you. I did watch that today, actually, before we went live. That's the first time I've watched a BTE in probably month.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little longer. They definitely have changed.
Oh, yeah.
They've definitely changed. I kind of miss it when it was mainly like the actual elite.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely become the Dark Order show.
Yeah, I will say that through that whole thing I watched, like the Dark Order was probably one of the more entertaining parts of it. Seeing Brody Lee crack too when she missed hitting the dude with the paper was pretty hilarious. When he's just like, "Oh, hit him again!" Like it was pretty hilarious. You know whose else vlog I watched today? I watched Sammy Guevara's last vlog.
Oh,
and he had an opening bit that was pretty funny because it was him, Kip Sabian, and Miro in the locker room. All like, yeah, and Kip's like, oh, my two best friends are meeting and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I'll catch up with you. Kind of like what Cody was doing with MJF on the Elites when he was bringing him around the first time. And as Cody walk away, he's like, listen here, you little shits. I'm not going to kiss your ass. It was kind of the same thing. Like he walked away and Miro and Sammy just kind of stared at each other like, well, what can you do? I'm the better man. And like Russo's like, you got this? You don't got this. Like it was entertaining. And he's like, what's your name? Samuel Guevara? And like, his bits, he has some funny bits on his vlog sometimes.
Bob Lashley.
Yeah, Bob Lashley.
Oh my God.
Robert. Yeah, man. It was different though. Like I said, I didn't enjoy it as much, and I think maybe that's why I started losing interest because I saw them going that route.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I get it.
It's like with anything, they're busy doing more stuff with the business now than they were. And honestly, I it's not like I miss them, but you never ever see Cody anywhere anymore.
No, but I also think he is now taking time off, right?
Well, I possibly, but I mean,
he had to take some time off to do that game show or whatever.
Oh, that's right.
Which I really don't have a lot of interest in seeing that show.
You couldn't pay me to watch that show. I wouldn't walk across the street to see that show for free.
The only thing that piqued my interest on it really was I was like, yeah, this is lame. And then they're like, and your host, Bert Kreischer. And I was like, I might watch just to see the train wreck Bert Kreischer.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, there was another show that
mean that in a good way. I like Bert.
I do too. But there's another show that they did that was sort of similar. It was some game. Well, the new Gong Show. You remember when they redid the Gong Show?
Yeah.
That was shit.
Yeah, and then now they're just throwing these talent shows together. I say like they got the Masked Singer, and I seen King Jong, the dude from The Hangover.
And now he has the other one.
He now hosts. Yeah, he hosts one now too, and it's like,
I can see your voice. They can so you can guess whether somebody's a good singer by how they look.
Enough of the shows.
Love it.
Yes,
anyway.
I mean AEW though. The other thing was Thunder Rosa. Eve Elise had that match, and there was talks of there was some legitimate heat going on. Kind of due to, I guess, kind of sounded like Eve Elise didn't want to play ball fully.
And it's funny because I would now if I'm not mistaken, Eve Elise has more experience in the wrestling ring than Thunder Rosa does, but Thunder Rosa is also an MMA fighter.
Right, yeah. I think Eve Elise has her by I think she's got 8-10 years on her.
Yeah. So having said that, I would not want to screw with Thunder Rosa because I've seen some documentaries about her, and she's legit.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent coming up now that they have multiple backgrounds. They weren't maybe just straight wrestlers, like pro wrestlers. So there's a lot of people you wouldn't want to mess with nowadays. But yeah, I guess it kind of, I don't know. From what I heard, is it sounded like Thunder Rosa kind of had a talk with Tony and was just kind of like, "Hey, I ain't gonna let this go down. I am the NWA Women's Championship, and I'm not going to be made a fool of." And apologize, for whatever. Yeah. I know you mentioned you didn't really notice it. Watching that match, to me, I saw one shot that I was like, "Oof, that was stiff," and then there was like almost a spot where I feel like they call, like I felt like someone called for something and the other person didn't do it, maybe. So it seemed like there was maybe a confusion for 1 second. After that, the rest of the match was great. I didn't really notice anything, but yeah, I guess there was some heat going on.
I'll have to go back and watch it, see if I can spot it.
Yeah, it was crazy, but otherwise it was a pretty decent AEW Dynamite. Got a special one on tonight, so catch it after we end this live broadcast.
Absolutely, I'll be running right there to see it,
and then again tomorrow, Dynamite. I'm gonna have to miss both, so I'm gonna have to catch up on them on the weekend.
Well, that's you can watch it. That'll be fine.
Yeah,
we do have Clash of Champions coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, I got the card pulled up. What do you say? We just kind of. I'm gonna just say the matches. You say who you think's gonna win. I say I think who's gonna win, and we'll make it short and sweet.
That sounds good to me.
All right, let's see here. We're gonna start with that Universal Championship: Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso.
Yeah, there's no question. Yeah. That's gonna be Roman Reigns. In fact, they could probably have that be in the pre-show.
Yeah, definitely could. Roman Reigns gonna win to win. Drew McIntyre, Orton for the WWE Championship.
So here's what I think is gonna happen. I think that Orton's going to win. I think that Retribution is going to get involved, so it's not a clean win, so that McIntyre's kind of protected, and then when there's fans again, and it'll be after WrestleMania, because the talk is that it's going to be Edge and Orton, as long as Edge is recuperated enough at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I like it. To be honest, I think Randy wins, but I think Keith Lee costs Drew McIntyre the match.
That ain't a bad plan either.
There was no ending to their match, and there was no real ending to any of their little feud they had going on, and they went to that 2 weeks in a row. Got to be some sort of effect on that match, I think. Okay. So we'll see. Intercontinental Championship, which, by the way, I'm telling you right now, here's your match of the night. This is going to be the one that sets the house on fire. Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn in a freaking ladder match.
Oh, dude.
It don't get no better than that, guys.
I mean, honestly,
I don't care who wins. It's just going to be
I got to tell you, I think what's going to happen is all three of them are going to kick the hell out of each other. And I think somehow Sami Zayn's going to win.
I think Sami Zayn's going to win, too. I wouldn't be surprised to see an AJ Styles win just because he is a big name. But then again, this is a wild card match because Jeff Hardy just re-signed, too.
Yeah.
But I'm going Sami Zayn, though. But regardless of, though, that is going to probably be your match of the night.
I would agree.
Next, we got the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bayley is the champ. She's facing Nikki Cross. What's going to happen?
I think Bayley's going to win.
Bayley's going to win for sure. Do we see Alexa Bliss get involved at all?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. Yeah, I'm with you, though, on Bayley winning. Next, we got the Women's Tag Team Championship. Nia Jax versus Shayna Baszler. I'm reading everything funky today. Can you tell it's been
I can.
Baszler and the Riot Squad. I
got the Riot Squad.
And
here's the reason I do. I get the Riot Squad because traditionally the WWE creative department does not have the stomach to keep two people that absolutely should be fighting each other together for that long.
I agree, but I also think they haven't had enough between the two for them to drop them already. I don't feel there's been enough animosity between the two. Plus, and this is wishful thinking, I have Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler winning, but I have Liv Morgan turning on Ruby Riott as payback to when she came back and turned on her, because that all just got swept under the rug too. And we're gonna just ignore the fact that Liv Morgan said it's a new me.
Yeah,
I'm saying it, and she's really leaning into this. We're back together, best friends. So I'd love to see Liv Morgan just destroy Ruby Riott at the end. That's what I want. Raw Tag Team Championship. Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza. Don't care who wins as long as it's the last time we see this match.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. I don't think the Street Profits lose.
No, they're going to win. Obviously, we're going to see Andrade versus Garza coming up.
Yeah.
United States Championship. Bobby Lashley versus Apollo Crews. I think this is where we see Retribution.
Yeah. If it's, well, I have a hard time seeing Lashley lose.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think one of the best things that they have going right now is the Hurt Business.
I do too, which why I wouldn't be surprised if Apollo joined and then they fought Retribution. Maybe.
Well, that'd be something.
Could be cool. But yeah, I'm Bobby Lashley's winning. Raw Women's Championship, Asuka versus Zelina Vega. This is a kickoff show match, by the way.
Yeah, so Asuka's going to win.
Yeah, Asuka's going to win. I want to know who they're really going to end up setting up to be her like next real feud, because they really are throwing just everybody at her.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the reasons they're throwing everybody at her is because she is one of the few that can work with anybody.
This is true. This is very true. I kind of would like to see Peyton Royce beat her, and then we get a Peyton Billy match for the women's, but that's just wishful thinking. Someone made a comment to me on Twitter about that because I said I'd like to see that match happen. And they're like, you just want to see them in a food match naked. And I was like, I just happen to enjoy them and think it'd be a fun match. But okay, yeah, I want to see them.
Yeah, also, what's your point?
I mean, I wouldn't turn away if that was what they were doing.
Yeah.
What you're saying. Anyways, SmackDown Tag Team Championships. People are stupid on Twitter. Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura versus the Lucha House Party.
Why are they even wasting our time?
Well, plus the other thing is, isn't Lucha House Party like feuding with each other right now currently?
Yeah.
So yeah, Cesaro and which that's a strong team too, though. Cesaro and Shinsuke.
That's a
strong ass team. You could do a lot with those two. So yeah, I'm going those guys.
Yep.
That's your Clash of Champions, guys, kicking off this weekend. It's gonna be fun. I like a good pay-per-view where every match is a title match.
I think there's something to be said for that.
I do miss it being called Night of Champions, which was the original one.
Yeah.
Just because this is something different. Whatever. But either way.
I guess my whole feeling, the whole thing is I'm curious. We all know that Redemption's finally going to hop in there, although they haven't in any pay-per-views up to this point.
No, but isn't Hell in the Cell next? Or am I wrong on that? I could be.
Let's see what. Maybe.
No, I could be wrong. I think Hell in the Cell's later.
I don't know.
What's the date today? Where are we at here?
September something or other.
Let me see. I think
yeah. What is 3 weeks from Sunday?
Right.
Is it every 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks?
It's like every 3 or 4 now.
Yeah.
Clash of Champions is this, so Hell in the Cell, October 25th.
Yeah.
In Orlando, Florida. Right after that, though, November 22nd, Survivor Series TBA. There's hope, guys. There's no hope. It's going to be in Orlando, probably. And then December 23rd, December is always good for TLC.
Yep.
So got some big shows coming. And then, of course, in January, everyone's favorite and the official kickoff to WrestleMania season, which, by the way, watching the home opener last week in that stadium, SoFi Stadium, I'm not going to lie. I was watching that being like, I mean, if they sell tickets for Mania this year, I kind of maybe need to go check this place out. Because that looked like a sick-ass stadium.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, my friend, it's going to be fun. A lot of wrestling starting right after we get done. So, folks, we'll try to watch it all. Keep you up to date on any headlines. You can follow us at we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on where the hell else are we? We got a webpage, which is the2count.com.
Yeah.
See our most recent. If you don't want to go to either of those broadcast sites, you can watch our most recent one, rewatch any of it that you'd like to, on right there on our front page.
Hell yeah.
Other than that, you got anything coming up? Are you doing a show with Wes this week?
I'm not 100% sure on exact time, but I believe we'll be doing a show this week. We did one last week, so you guys can go check it out, the Briscoe and Big Ace show. You can find it on YouTube, our social medias. You can find it as well, or VOC Radio Nation has the exclusive audio version of our show, so you can find it there as well. We are supposed to have some very talented wrestlers from South Africa coming on Thursday, which is they actually run a promotion out there that Wes has actually gone out to and worked with a couple times. So I don't know. Obviously, that's a long ways away, and we got to get it all correlated. So that's the plan. If we don't, then no, we probably will be out for about a week then, because and we'll have to kind of decide. But I'm thinking we're just probably not going to have a show next week.
Yeah, because you'll be out for personal reasons.
Yeah. They're gonna cut my other hand open this time.
Nice.
Yeah. So the other one isn't even healed yet, so I'm gonna be like a really, really broken man.
How will you take care of your undercarriage?
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be like a claw-like, and I might have to well, the right hand I can bend it. It's just weak. It's just not as strong as it used to be.
Oh man, that'll be like with a grandma.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. When I did this hand, that's when it sucked because I'm right-handed. So that's when.
Yeah.
How do I do this with a hand that I never used? Where this time they're doing my left hand, so I should be able to still, get everything done that I need to get done. So
there you go. You'll be an old hand at it by then.
Yeah, great. It's gonna be awesome. The only silver lining is I won't have to wear 2 arm braces to bed along with my sleep machine because I'm 38 and that's what I have to do to go to sleep now. So.
Yeah. By the way, I finally, this is, I know those of you who are watching, this is going to get all weird, but I finally got my new CPAP machine.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
After months and months, I went and saw that woman at the beginning of July. So 3 months later, I finally get taken care of. Thank you. And they gave me a fancy one.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Got a heated tube. It's got a all sorts of shit on it. It's got a clock radio. It's got
what?
No, it doesn't. But it could.
I was just saying, I didn't even know that was an option. I would have asked. Damn.
Give me the clock radio, so let it turn off when I'm asleep. But nope. It's nice. It's way smaller than the old one I had. And the very first thing I did with that one was put it up on eBay because apparently people like to use them for other purposes. I don't know. No, I didn't. I busted the computer card and tossed her in the trash. So if anybody wants to look in my trash, they can find a used CPAP machine, undocumented. There you go. Use it for your own purposes, not mine. Another thing, just I want to mention it because I've been doing this now weekly, as well as our show on Tuesday nights, every Thursday at 10 o'clock Central Time on Twitch exclusively. I have been doing a show with my friend Corey Adam. You can find him at Comedian Corey or Corey Adam Comedy, I think, or whatever. But the show is called Twitch Talk, just like TikTok, except with the Twitch in front of it. So Twitch Talk, Twitch, and then TOK. And we're on for 3 hours there, screwing around like crazy. I would say probably it's more comedy than wrestling. But although we do touch some wrestling, but we've been having a good time. We have days where it's drinking day, and all we do is we get everybody, including the listeners, come on, and we just enjoy having some drinks and trying to remember what we were supposed to talk about. So it's quite something. But anyway, I'll be there on Thursday. I don't have another live show until November the 24th. 1st in Chautauqua, Wisconsin at the Mill something or other winery. Yeah. I beat the Chautauqua out of them. Yeah. But anyway, so that'll be in November, and I'll give you more information on that if you happen to be in the area, you'd like to come and see me, because I like to see people. Even though we're in a pandemic, I'm not going to catch shit from anybody. I know that. I'm virtually indestructible at this point. Other than that, gosh, we appreciate the fact that you guys watched with us today. We love doing that list with you. We'll have another great one for you in should we just call it now? We're going to do it in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Let's just do that, because I'm not
going to don't come back next week unless maybe if I have a wild hair and go through and maybe do a highlight show, because we've got a lot of highlights. We've had a lot of stuff. We had Brad Williams on with us, Petey Brown on with us, a lot of different comedians.
Yeah, I think what is it? Is it Ellsworth, or where is it in Wisconsin that show was supposed to happen? The AWF show.
I think it was just across the river from Hastings.
Yeah, I think it's happening this weekend, guys.
Oh, so it is.
AWF Wrestling out of Minnesota, downtown Petey Brown. Check them out. It's happening this weekend. I can't go because it's the day after my surgery, so I have to keep my hand elevated for the first 3 days, so I can't really be out and about.
Yep, just keep it up.
Oh God, that would get so exhausting after 2 minutes.
Hold it up, and they'll think, "God damn it, that guy thinks we're doing good."
Why is he still raising his hand, guys?
He believes in us. That's why.
Question. Yeah, that would be. I'd make it like 30 seconds before I'm like, my arm's tired. It sucks. So I can't go, man. But everybody else, you should go support it. We got that show, Kickstart Your Heart Wrestling. That's in October in the Twin Cities area. We'll have more details about that, but we're going to be at that show. That's going to be a lot of fun too. So
awesome.
Support local wrestling, everybody.
We appreciate it all very much, everybody. Y'all have a good night, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Good luck, Ace, on that surgery, buddy.
Hell yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you guys.